watching Twin Tiers Evening News with Jeff Androlonis and Alexa Olson. Now, from the Twin Tiers' biggest broadcast news operation, WVTT proudly presents Twin Tiers Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Alexa Olson. Jeff Androlonis is off tonight. The big story on Twin Tiers Evening News. According to officials from Olean General Hospital, the call center set up to assist those who may have accidentally been exposed to HIV and hepatitis have seen multiple calls into their office. Over 1,900 letters were sent out yesterday morning notifying patients that they should set up an appointment for a blood test. Patients who received insulin from a multiple-use pen as far back as November in 2009 could have potentially been exposed. Olean General Hospital is the second hospital in Western New York to admit possible insulin pen reuse. The local reaction to this news has been overwhelming. It seems that there's a lot of questions and concerns that have been left unanswered. WVTT's Valerie Tysander is here now to clarify a few things.
If you are one of those almost 2,000 people who received a letter from Olean General Hospital telling you that if you received an insulin injection between November of 2009 and January 16th of this year that you should get tested for hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV, you're likely not very happy. But it's not just the people who received a letter that have some concerns.
I think it's very unsanitary because they can contract various types of diseases when it enters their bloodstream. And each person should get their own insulin pen.
I just think that they need to be more careful. I didn't know that they used those pens on different people because they have a system over there with the meds. They identify your name with a computer thing and they got a drawer that's locked just for you. So I don't know how they did that unless they have a stock of insulin that they take it from, like they used to have the vials. But they should have it separate. But I bet they were trying to save money.
When we posted this story on our Facebook page, we got a lot of comments and some questions. So I wanted to take some time to explain some things just to make sure that everyone has the most accurate information. Kathy Clark says, I don't care what the company says, you never use a needle twice. This is a common misperception. It's not actually the needle that was being used twice, it was the pen that was being used on multiple patients. Take a listen to what the president of Olean General Hospital has to say.
This was not an issue, absolutely, of reuse of needles, because we use special safety needles on our insulin pens, such that after a single injection, without removing the needle and inserting a new sterile needle, you can't provide another injection.
There are two types of insulin pens. The ones that Olean General Hospital and the other hospital in Western New York where this was an issue were using is called a durable pen. It has a replaceable insulin cartridge. The pen can be used multiple times on the same patient. The advantages to using this pen over a traditional vial and syringe is that it's easier to use, gives the patient a more accurate dosage of insulin, and is less painful when it comes to administering that insulin. But even though the pen is meant to be reusable, it still should not be used on different patients.
The issue is that there's the possibility, very remote, of regurgitation of kind of bodily fluids, blood, into the insulin pen cartridge, and that if it's used on other than the intended patient, there can be the transmission of infection.
We also had a question from Laura Holtz, who's wondering if Olean General is going to pay for the testing. The answer to that is yes. If you're one of the 1,900 people who could be impacted by this, Olean General will not be charging you for any screenings, testing, or counseling they provide. Meanwhile, Tammy Pascucci is wondering, she thinks she was given insulin in 2009 in that time period. She wants to know who she should contact. Olean General Hospital has set up a call center. You can reach them at 716-375-7590 or 1-888-980-1220. It is staffed 7 days a week from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And I did talk with Dennis McCarthy, who says that they've had multiple calls so far into that call center. The deluge hasn't really started as of when we spoke, but I'm sure they will be getting many more calls in the future. In the WVTT Digital Newsroom, I'm Valerie Tysander. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Valerie, for that report. If you want to read all of those comments on our Facebook page, you can go to facebook.com/WVTT News and feel free to comment yourself. An Olean businessman crashed his car into a home in Allegheny on Tuesday. According to police, 60-year-old owner of Jones Realty, Dennis Jones, lost consciousness at the wheel and crashed into the family room of a home on North 7th Street. Homeowner Abby Gabler and her 21-month-old baby were in the house at the time. No injuries were reported and no charges have been filed at this time. A Cattaraugus County man has been charged with animal cruelty after admitting to shooting a dog in the town of South Valley. 24-year-old Devin Dudenhofer admitted to committing the crime back on January 11th. He was arrested on Wednesday after a lengthy investigation. No information on whether or not the dog survived. 7 Bradford drug arrests yesterday after a half of a year of an investigation. The arrests were all for prescription medications and marijuana. Officials say these 7 arrests will make the community a safer place. All of the suspects will return to court on January 31st. Calls were put in to the Bradford Police Department. They have yet to return our calls with more information on that story. A Bradford woman has been found guilty on charges in 5 different cases in McKean County Court. 20-year-old Megan Butterbaugh charged with a number of small crimes, including stealing $15 from one woman, stealing frozen food from another, stealing a recliner from a rental store, stealing over $1,000, and possession of a various amount of prescription pills, and hitting and biting another woman, all in the summer and fall of 2012. Olean's Common Council of the Whole has voted to delay a decision that could save the city nearly $1 million over the next 25 years. On Tuesday, City Auditor Fred Sheridan proposed that the city refinance a $5.8 million bond that paid for the construction of the city's water treatment plant back in 2000. The refinancing would take the bond's interest rate from 4.5% to 3.07%. Now that decision was tabled so that more information could be gathered on the subject. Following a vote on Wednesday by Chautauqua County legislatures, the Chautauqua County Nursing Home will continue to be run by the county. The board voted 16-9 in favor of selling the home, but failed to meet the necessary 2/3 majority vote for selling county property. William Rothner of Altitude Health Services was a potential buyer for the nursing home. Natural gas projects in Potter County appear to be on the rise again. Potter County commissioners met yesterday and discussed several new projects happening in the county as drilling for the fuel begins to pick up. A wastewater facility in Ulysses, a PennDOT permit for the water hauling company, and a deal on a company laying pipeline were all discussed at the meeting. Natural gas production seems to be fluctuating as fuel reserves across the country face increased demand because of sub-zero temperatures. The United Way of Bradford area has awarded over $6,500 to 6 local agencies. These agencies include the Bradford YMCA, Care for Children and McKean County Special Olympics, Dickinson Mental Health, and Bradford Home and McKean County Habit for Humanity. The new 2013 Cattaraugus County Tourism Guide was released to county legislators on Wednesday. The 56-page activity guide is titled The Enchanted Mountains of Western New York, Explore Today. The cover features pictures of local activity venues such as Holiday Valley and the New York Amish Trail. This year's guide also features QR codes that can be scanned with smartphones for more information on the activities. Much more. This is Twin Tiers Evening News on News Channel 25 WVTT.